Who would have thought that Woody Harrelson would play a fantastic serial killer? Certainly not me. Welcome to Under Two Capes. I'm Jared, and today, as promised, we're going to be reviewing, in spoilerific fashion, Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage. Now, once again, I feel like I should emphasize this. This is going to be heavily spoiler. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, don't watch this video. Watch my spoiler-free version. But if you're one of those people that really doesn't care if a movie's spoiled, or you just really or you don't mind, then let's get into it. So Venom 2. All right. So I want to say this movie's awesome. Like, really, really awesome. Well, it fulfills the tradition where the sequel is a better movie than than that which came before it, because this it's such an amazing movie. I very much enjoyed it. First off, and I said this in my previous in my spoiler free review, I liked how I'm going to sort of talk about this kind of out of order, just because as it free flows, is that I liked how, like, the final battle, actually, I'm going to start from the beginning, whatever. I like how it pretty much picks up right where the last one left off, with him meeting Cletus Cassidy. Cletus is a serial killer who's about to be sent to death row. He tells Eddie where he hid these bodies, and that, like, reboots Eddie's career. And then Eddie Eddie finds out his girlfriend's getting engaged, his ex-girlfriend, so that's sad. But then Cletus bites Eddie. So I'm jumping around too much. Eddie comes to visit Cletus the day he's gonna be killed, and then Eddie bites, and then Cletus bites Eddie, which gets a part of the symbiote into him. And then as he's being lethally injected, guess what happens? The freaking symbiote comes out, and from there we get this awesome, like, scene of actually Carnage messing stuff up. It was truly one of the coolest scenes in the movie, with Venom, like, spinning around and causing a mini tornado in the prison of him killing the warden. It was super cool. He escapes, and they kept the symbiote is sentient, which I dug. And then I like how they have the scene where Eddie and Venom, like, part ways, and then Venom goes to this rave bar and starts raving with everyone. He's like, and I really dug how Eddie's like, this is my coming out of Eddie story, which I'm like, okay, I see what they're talking about with that. So I liked how they have this whole little relationship fight where they're basically like, apologize for being mean to me. And then Eddie's forced to, because Cletus is going crazy with Carnage. Then he rescues his Carnage, I guess Cletus rescues his girlfriend Scream, who, by the way, is a mutant. So we're getting mutants now. Scream is basically Black Canary except evil. Just think about it that way. And they break her out. What's interesting is that Carnage goes nuts because Scream's power is like screaming hypersonic. Remember, sonics are very, like, damaging to symbiotes. So he's like, don't let her do that again or I'll kill her. So then Carnage and let's see who else. Carnage and Scream kidnap and the doctor and the cop who had arrested Scream, and take him to this church, and we get basically the final battle, which I really liked, because the previous one was just basically looked like CGI ink blots like pulling each other apart, which I get it. That's the way it was supposed to be for that movie, but I didn't like that. I felt it was too, like, yeah. At least with this one, you had, like, Carnage just throwing spikes at Eddie, and they're actually fighting. And I like how Carnage basically gets the upper hand. I also dug how Carnage, the symbiote, referred to Venom as father. This is keeping with the whole comic continuity that Carnage is Venom's offspring. So they fight. Eventually, Carnage wins. And then I really dug how their one insert of the F-bomb, because normally, so the way PG-13 movies work is you're allowed one F-bomb. The way they did it in Carnage, in Venom, is that Venom resorbs the Carnage symbiote, looks at Cletus and goes, F this guy, and then bites his head off. Loved it. Then he leaves. They decide to leave Los Angeles, just leave California, and they go on this island. This is where it starts to get interesting, and this is where the post-credit scene pops in. Once again, spoiler. Don't want to know what happens in the post-credit scene? Leave the video now. All right, I've given you time to leave the video. Now, what happens is they're lying down watching a Spanish soap opera, and then Carnage is communicating to Eddie. Venom is communicating to Eddie. Listen, dude, there's so much knowledge that myself, as a member of an alien race that has existed for centuries, there's so much knowledge that it could fry your brain. And then Eddie's like, okay, try me. So Carnage is like, I warned you. And then he counts down like he's going to impart this knowledge. And all of a sudden you start seeing flashing lights and like an earthquake. And what's interesting is that Venom does not know what's going on either. So it's not him relaying the knowledge. And then it's all quiet. The hotel room was all of a sudden like upgraded pretty much. And then the TV's on. Then instead of the Spanish soap opera, it's J. Jonah Jameson from Far From Home revealing that Tom Holland Spider-Man, to Tom Holland Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Now what this is showing is that Venom was just brought into the MCU. This is freaking huge. Really, really big, because what this means that if for a lot of reasons. Number one, then that creature that like jumps at Peter in the Spider-Man trailer, in the I forget which one it is. It's some home thing. In the Spider-Man trailer, that creature could have been Venom and not the lizard. It probably is the lizard, but I'll retain judgment. Spider-Man trailer. I'm just okay. No Way Home trailer. Okay. Now, another thing I really dug. Okay, so that's that. Now, here's what Wes is really big for a lot of different reasons. Number one, plays off the multiverse. Number two, shows that if they're starting to fold stuff in, Marvel could eventually say, bring in the X-Men. Just bring in the X-Men. We're done. We need this done. We need to bring in the X-Men. And it could also mean that like they're going to bring in like a lot of other Spider characters. Could conceivably what this could be is that if No Way Home turns out to be the last movie in their little distribution deal with Marvel, Sony could conceivably say, okay, so now we're going to take Peter Parker and Venom and like form our own CU, if you will. We'll call it the Spider-Man CU or something else. You get the idea. And then they can bring in like Miles Morales, Ghost Spider, Gwen Stacy. They can bring in like all the Spider-Man characters and have their own Spider-Man world right there, just off to the side. And that's all. That's what they'll do. Okay, that's what they'll do. And so, and that would be an interesting way to do things. I think that, well, let me see. What do I want to say about this? I think it would be, I think what this represents is, yeah, they're gonna take Spider-Man out. That I don't want to say I guarantee it, because could not happen that way, and I would be very happy if it didn't happen that way, because I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man. But it could legitimately just turn out like, okay, we'll take him away. But it could also mean, once again, the X-Men, because now they're starting to bring in stuff from the multiverse, and we've already established the Marvel multiverse is also with the X-Men movies from the early 2000s. I find that very, very exciting, and that we could be getting those movies. So let's see what else. What else can I bring up about this? Okay, so his design, loved. I felt that Carnage's live action design was really, really well rendered, and to the point, I'm gonna bring up an image of Carnage for us to see. To the point where I liked CGI wise how they showed, like, let me share my screen real quick, how they showed like all the different tendrils coming off of him, like in this image right here, and how like these basically spike launchers. Yeah, I know it's that it felt like Carnage. And first off, Cletus, I mean, Harrelson as Carnage was like perfect. Oh my gosh, it was so cool. He was so good. For some reason, he's really good at playing a serial killer. But besides that, I really dug his portrayal of Cassidy. I felt he did the character a lot of justice. And that says a lot, considering there are plenty of characters, of actors that have not brought their characters to justice. I'm looking at you, Brie Larson. But okay, so let's see. But yeah, I felt that again, he was great. Obviously, Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock was great. And all in all, the entire cast is fantastic. And I also liked, by the way, they teased Toxin because, all right, so Detective Mulligan, he's captured, he's messed up by Scream and Carnage, but then he's freed. And then if you notice, as the camera's leaving him, his eyes like turn all symbiote. That's because he becomes a symbiote Riot. So they're basically building up the symbiotes there, which is kind of concerning considering Venom and Eddie are not going to be in San Francisco to deal with this. So if this ever happens, so they return, they're in kind of big trouble. So let's see. I also felt, okay, I've been pretty vocal when I did the Venom episode that I don't like how they made this like PG-13, because I felt Venom's one of the characters that they really can't do justice unless it's really like R. But I felt that this movie did it well, both with Cletus and Venom. I felt that this basically refutes that whole it has to be rated R, because they pushed it pretty hard in this movie to the point where I was wondering, am I sure this is PG-13? Like, there's that scene from the trailer where Carnage is like attacking that guard, and the tongue comes out and goes down the guy's throat. Yeah. Apparently, there's also a Carnage skin in Fortnite. Of course, there is. But anyway, yeah. So that's Let There Be Carnage. So all in all, I would give it about a 9 or so out of 10. CGI was great. Acting was great. Writing was great. Casting was superb. These are exactly everyone that I would cast as these characters. Definitely everyone I would cast. Tom Hardy's perfect. I'm fine with him playing Venom for as long as humanly possible, because he does it so well. And so let's see what else. And let's see. What else do I want to talk about Venom? Probably the fact that, once again, I'm going to spend a bit of time talking about this. So they essentially brought Venom into the MCU. I'm thinking, I have a theory, he's going to be in Spider-Man 2 in some capacity, Spider-Man 3, and I mean the Tom Holland Spider-Man 3. At some point, we'll see like Tom Hardy in the background, or maybe Venom will show up and help Spider-Man against the Sinister Six. That'd be really cool. Or he'll join Venom will take over, join the Sinister Six and fight Spider-Man temporarily, and then join his side. But Either way, I think that is really, really, really cool. I am really excited. I'm really excited to see what they do. This just gets me even more hyped for that Spider-Man movie because I'm wondering, all right, so I'm wondering who else is going to show up in this because already the Spider-Man movie basically feels like the Flash movie. Spider-Man and Doctor Strange feel like the Flash for me. Where in the Flash, they're going to bring in all these different multiversal characters. By the way, the Flash could be restoring the Snyderverse, but I'm going to talk about that in a new show. But anyway, I think that's a good place to leave it right now. These movie reviews aren't nearly as long. I'll talk about it more at length on the Under Two Capes this week. But hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we will see you actually tomorrow night for or like in the X-Men episode where I'll be talking about the storyline Phoenix and Song. Anyway, see you guys later. Stay heroic, everyone.